Well, hello there. This is Grandpa Lance from Grandpa Lance's blog. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about finding out if your computer is really capable of running the audio software that I'm going to suggest in a later post. Now, in order to determine that, you're going to have to follow what I'm going to do here. What you're going to do is you're going to take that little mouse that you have and you're going to bring it down here to the very far left corner at the bottom, and you're going to see a little blue ball that has a Windows logo on it. You're going to right click that. Once you've right clicked that, then you're going to move up to the dark side of that particular pop-up, and there's going to be a word that says computer. You're going to left click computer and go down to properties and right click that. Now you're going to see a screen that's basically your system screen, okay? What this screen tells you is just some basic information about your particular computer. That is, what is the operating system that's loaded on it, how much memory, what's your processor, and a few other bits of information. Let's go ahead and go through this. Mine is telling me on this particular screen that I'm using Windows Edition, Windows 7 Home Premium. On my desktop, which in my blog I've told you not to use a laptop, instead use a desktop, but this is my video computer that I do some of these things on. So you have to forgive me for that. I don't use it for my audio recording. Back to what I was telling you. Windows 7 Home Premium. On my desktop, I have Windows 7 Professional 64-bit. Okay. If you're going to be using some audio recording software, Windows 7 Home Premium will probably do the trick. As long as you're using the 64-bit version of that. Windows 8, I believe most of it is 64-bit. But remember, you want to make sure that your particular operating system is 64-bit. 32-bit, we'll deal with in a little bit later, and probably in a later post, and I'll touch on a little bit in this post. But suffice to say, you want 64-bit. Okay, let's move down the screen here a little bit. Under System, it'll tell you the manufacturer and the model of the computer that you're on. Now, since I built my computer, my desktop computer, it tells me under manufacturer, it basically gives me, I believe, the motherboard name, which is Gigabyte, and it tells me the model of the motherboard. Below model, it gives you a rating. Now, Microsoft has come up with a rating system to determine that goes through certain categories on your system and gives you a Windows Experience Index number. Let's go ahead and click that. All right, what that experience number has involved in it, it tells you that your processor, it gives you a calculation speed, it gives you a subscore, okay, and it tells you that your memory is how many seconds operations per second, and it gives you another subscore. They take these subscores and they take the lowest score and use that to determine the base score. Basically, that's saying this is the weak link in your system. And the base score, yeah, it doesn't really mean that much, but it does give you some indication as to where the weak points are in your computer. The important thing you want to look at, though, is your subscores, okay? That is your processor, your memory, and your primary hard drive. Those are the three things that you really want to look at as far as audio recording software, for using audio recording software. Your processor speed, if it's above 5.9, you're probably going to be okay. You probably want it to be higher, 6, 8, 7, something along that line. Your memory operations per second, you want that up there. And you want your primary hard drive transfer rate to be high, somewhere in the mid 6s or 7. Graphics cards, not quite as important as you might think in this, though they are important. but not as important as in gaming and for video production. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to the previous screen. All right. So after you've got an idea what your Windows Experience Index is, you want to take a look at what your processor is. You want to go ahead and write this number down. Just get out a piece of paper, take a pen, and go ahead and write these things down. You want to look at your processor and determine what the processor is, be it an Athlon, an AMD Athlon, or an Intel Core. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and write that down and what that processor is. You also want to put down the processor speed. Now this one is showing that I have a 2.4 gigahertz by 2, so it's a 2-core processor. You want to go ahead and write that down also. Next thing you want to write down is the installed memory. This one's saying 4 gigabytes. You obviously are going to want more than 4 gigabytes, and this is the problem with laptops, is that most of them don't have much space for upgrade of memory. Some of them, I've seen laptops at 16 that will allow you to expand at 16 gigabytes, but most stick around 8 gigabyte expansion. Okay, so you want to write down the installed memory. So on this one, I wrote down 4 gigabytes. On the system type, now this is fairly important. It's just telling me that I'm using a 64-bit operating system. You probably want a 64-bit operating system to do audio. In fact, I would insist on it. 32 gigabyte is dead. 32-bit, gigabyte. 32-bit operating system is pretty much dead for audio. For one big reason is that your ability to expand your memory beyond 4 gigabytes is just really not there. You can put in 8 gigabytes, but you're still only going to get the use of about 4. 64-bit allows you to use a much larger memory set. Okay, so at that point you know what your computer is after you've written this down. The next thing you want to take a look at, and let's go ahead and go back down to that start button or that ball with the Windows logo on it, and right-click it. And this time you're going to go to computer and you're going to hit a right click on the mouse. And it will tell you what your hard drive's size is. Now this one's telling me that my hard drive is well, it's a 500 gigabyte hard drive. And I've used most of it. Okay. But that tells you the size of your hard drive. It tells you how much space you have available on your hard drive to install new software. So go ahead and write that down also. Now what this doesn't tell you is the speed of your hard drive. Okay? The speed of your hard drive you want to have, on laptops, most of them are running at 5,400 RPM. You want, at the very least, for doing audio, a 7,200 RPM. That's 7,200 RPM. Anything slower than that, you're just not going to have the throughput and data transfer rates to do multi-track. You might get 8 tracks, and you're going to start having clogs, and that's not pretty. You start getting pops and clicks and slowdowns, and you don't want that. So you want to probably look at your hard drive and find out whether or not it's 5,400 or 7,200. 7,200 or better is what you want for the RPM speed of your hard drives. Once that's determined, you got all this written down on a piece of paper. Now you can begin to either A, if everything checks out into the speeds and the processor speeds and the throughput speeds, then you can start looking for software. If not, you might want to consider either changing computers. I definitely recommend a desktop, or altering the computer that you've got to meet the parameters. That is adding memory, or possibly changing the processor and motherboard. These are the things you want to look at. And then you consider buying software. And on the software, it will tell you all those minimum requirements that software needs.